one of the best in all MMA, but he's never faced someone like Mark. And that's bad.
So Brian D'Souza, I'm here at Adrenaline MMA in London with Mark Hominick, #1 contender for Jose Aldo's featherweight title. Mark, how's it going?
Oh, very well. Just first day back, really training now. So I had 2 weeks off after the fight to kind of just chill and just do light running and whatnot. So it feels good to be back.
Okay. What do you think of your opponent, Jose Aldo, or should I say Jose Aldo?
He's one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. He's proved that every time he went in there that he's dominated everybody. He's good at, well-rounded, strong in every aspect of the game, and he's one of the best.
What was your instinct when you first knocked down George Roop to let him stand back up?
Well, George is a tough guy, and one thing, training with him, I know he's really good at up kicks. He's got those long legs. So, first knockdown, I knew he wasn't completely out. So if I'd have jumped in for the finish and I walk into a big up kick, he's good at that. So, I was worried about that, let him up, and I knew that, I'd catch him eventually.
Okay. Was there any tension, him being a former training partner or current training partner?
No, when the fight was signed, we emailed each other back and forth and said, it is what it is. It's a shame that we have to fight, but it's the reality of the sport, especially, at the higher levels. If you're looking to get a title shot or you're up, in the top amongst top fighters in the division, you might have faced someone you've trained with in the past. So, we put that aside and we're friends again now. We'll be training partners in the future.
Okay. Do you think people perform a lot differently in sparring than they do in a real fight?
Oh, for sure. Like sparring's one thing, and training in the gym's one thing, and in the fight, like there's a lot of different elements. A lot of more pressure, everything happens almost sometimes slower in the cage. Because there's not as much control for you. But it's in that you hear a lot of guys who are like great in the gym and horrible in the cage, but vice versa. So you never know who that fighter is.
Any stories you want to share
about
what goes on in training?
Oh, training's hard. You bust your butt every day, and I felt I had the best of him in sparring and whatnot. So I knew I did have that advantage over him mentally.
It's real exciting for us as a team. It's the biggest fight any of us has ever had to be, fighting for a world title, especially to have it be on this enormous show in Toronto with 55,000 people. In his home province. It's crazy, really. And I think a lot of people are kind of underestimating Mark or counting him out and just thinking that Jose Aldo is going to do to him what he's done to everybody else he's come up against. And I think they're going to have, people are going to be surprised at what Mark Hominick brings to the table. Jose Aldo's never fought a guy like Mark. He's fought he's fought some pretty good strikers and a lot of really good wrestlers, and Mark's a whole different type of fighter. He's fast enough to stand and trade with Aldo, and nobody else has been. So I think we're going to see a different fight than we've ever seen.
He's 28 years old. He's the best he's ever looked. He's at the peak of his career, and this is his opportunity to become the best in the world. And is this task, a difficult one, of course, but is it winnable? Absolutely. He's fighting Jose Aldo, and stylistically, it's a great fight. No one's given that look that Mark gives to Jose. No one's been in Jose's face like Mark's going to be, and this is a fight that he can definitely win.
Okay, what was your first impression of Mark like when you first met him?
Oh, he was crazy, man. He was years ago. He was definitely I would say obsessed with his training. He was just so in depth. But one of the most determined and focused people. I was 13 when I met him, and he was 18, and full-time, full-time student, working and training. Like he was just really focused and a determined individual, and I really looked up to Mark, and for the longest time, even till today, I look up to this guy, and it's great to have him as a training partner and friend and a business partner.
Do you think there's a Mike Tyson effect of intimidation and it affects performance in the ring?
100%. Like if you go in there, so worried about what your opponent's going to do, or just so concerned that you're fighting like a god, like it crushes you. And like I've had that problem in the past where I went into a fight so concerned about like when I fought Hanayaya, I went in there so concerned about his jiu-jitsu because he's world champion. I was like, oh man, I don't want to go to the ground with this guy. And if you go in with that kind of attitude, it's going to swallow you. It doesn't matter if you're better than that fighter. This is the biggest opportunity of my whole life, and I'm giving up everything in my life to take it.
Well, thanks a lot for your time, Mark. Good luck.
Thank you.